Hey guys, it's Chris. Now, with spiritual disciplines, it's important to remember that there are some disciplines of engagement where we actively engage with something that connects us to God, and there are other disciplines of abstinence where we remove something from our life in order to make space for God. The next discipline of abstinence we're going to talk about is the discipline of silence. Did you feel uncomfortable right there? It's interesting how uncomfortable we can feel when there is a short period of silence. Have you ever noticed how people start to fidget or shuffle once they realize there's nothing to be said or they don't know what's happening next? Or maybe you're the type of person where if you're alone, you feel like you need to have the radio on or put your earbuds in or make sure the TV is running. The sad thing about modern life is that we are so uncomfortable with silence that we actually don't get to explore our inner lives. I think part of our discomfort with silence is the fact that it masks what's going on inside of us, and it masks even maybe our own shallowness. So what we do when we engage in the discipline of silence is we refrain from noise as much as we can, and we refrain from speaking. Now, there's two ways to practice the discipline of silence. There's public silence and there's private silence. In private silence, what we do is we intentionally set aside time to not speak and be aware of God's presence. This sort of serves as what I would call a DTR, where we get to define the relationship with God. We get to see, are we comfortable enough to sit in silence with God? Do we have enough intimacy to just sit in His presence and not feel like it needs to be filled up with noise and words and things that we throw out into the air? With public silence, what we get to do is we get to give other people an opportunity to speak. I think oftentimes we are listening to people just waiting for our turn to speak. So when we practice public silence, we discipline ourselves and we learn the practice of actively listening and not just waiting for our turn to talk. Now, when we practice silence, especially if it's private silence, what you want to be aware of is what's going on inside of you and releasing that to God. So if you are spending time in silence alone with God, as thoughts and ideas bubble into your mind, it's important to offer those things back up to God. As you are listening to someone else when you're practicing public silence, it's important to note the things that surface in your mind that you want to say and sacrifice and offer those things up to God. And in growing in our ability to tolerate silence, we grow in our ability to be mature and know what's going on inside of us. To get more content, be sure to subscribe or like this video. Also, if you have questions, leave that in the comments section. And for more resources, visit our website.